Something tells you that woman's silence is not surrender, something darker is coming. But just how far will a blind woman go for justice when her husband betrays her love and mocks her pain? What would you do if you walked in on this? Hit like if you've ever been betrayed, subscribe, and comment below where you're watching from. The night was heavy with rain, the kind that blurred streetlights and made Lagos sound like a city whispering secrets. Inside a quiet duplex in Ikeja, a woman sat in the dark, listening. Not watching, not reading, just listening. Her sight had left her years ago, but her other senses had sharpened into weapons of truth. Her name was Aisha, and tonight, her world was about to collapse. From upstairs came the soft creak of footsteps that weren't hers. A giggle. Then the muffled sound of Connor's voice, the man she had trusted, the man she had prayed for through sickness, through death, through blindness. Her heart began to thud like a drum in her chest. That laugh, it wasn't hers. She reached for her cane, her hand trembling, the smell of expensive perfume, one she didn't own, wafting down the staircase. The rain masked her steps as she climbed slowly, one cautious move after another. Her fingers grazed the wall, every breath was measured, careful. And then she heard it, his whisper. Don't make a sound, Funk. She won't hear us. She can't see a thing. Aisha froze. Her husband's words struck like lightning. The betrayal wasn't just in the act, it was in the mockery. She took a shaky breath, her voice barely above a whisper. Connor. The room fell silent. Sheets rustled, a woman gasped, and Connor cursed under his breath. What are you doing here, Aisha? He barked, his tone defensive, panicked. I could ask you the same, she said softly, her head tilted as if she could still see the image her mind painted. Who is she? A woman's hurried steps brushed past her, perfume thick in the air, the front door slamming behind her. The silence that followed was suffocating. Connor sighed. It's not what you think. Aisha laughed bitterly. What I think? You think blindness means stupidity. Her cane struck the floor hard. The sound echoed. The neighbors could probably hear. Rain still hammered the windows, but now it felt like thunder inside her chest. Connor rubbed his face. You've been neglecting me, Aisha. You're always praying, always with those church people, and since you lost your sight, things have changed. I'm a man, I have needs. Aisha's lips trembled. Needs? And what about mine, Connor? You think I don't feel? You think I don't know when my husband's heart drifts away? He didn't answer. The weight of guilt and ego hung in the air. And then, something unexpected happened. Aisha smiled. It wasn't warm or forgiving. It was cold. Controlled. You're right, Connor. Things have changed, she said, voice low. But I think you've just changed them forever. For the first time, Connor felt uneasy. What do you mean? Aisha didn't reply. She just turned, slowly descended the stairs, her cane tapping with measured rhythm. Each tap was a warning, each step a quiet declaration of revenge. As dawn broke, the rain stopped, but the silence in their home remained. Connor sat in the living room, replaying the night over and over, fear gnawing at him. He had always seen Aisha as weak, fragile. But the calmness in her voice before she walked away felt dangerous. When she emerged from their room hours later, she was dressed in a simple white gown, her hair wrapped neatly. She moved with poise. Her blindness did not strip her of dignity, it amplified it. Connor, she said quietly. I will no longer share this house with you. Not as things stand. Connor blinked. What are you saying? You want to leave me? And take the children? Over one mistake. One. She turned her face toward him, unseeing eyes wet with tears that refused to fall. Do you know how many nights I've heard you whisper on the phone, how many lies I've forgiven without knowing the details? He stammered, Aisha, please. Don't make a scene. Think of the children. She nodded. Exactly. The children. Her voice cracked. They deserve better than this. He moved closer, lowering his voice. You don't even know what she means to me. That single line broke something deep inside her. Then you truly have no shame. Aisha's hand trembled on her cane as she stepped backward. The image of her husband and another woman haunted her, though she had never seen it with her eyes. She saw it clearer than any sighted person ever could. Late that night, while Connor slept on the couch, Aisha called someone she hadn't spoken to in years, her old friend, Zainab, a legal officer at the Lagos Family Court. Zainab, she whispered, I need your help. I want to know my rights, as a blind woman, as a wife. Zainab's voice was calm but firm. Aisha, are you sure you want to go this path? Aisha smiled faintly. I'm sure. He thought blindness was my weakness. It's about to become my strength. Outside, a car horn blared, distant thunder roared again, and the city lights flickered. But inside Aisha's heart, something had ignited, quiet, powerful, unstoppable. She placed her hand over her children's sleeping heads and whispered a promise. Mama's eyes may not see, but her heart sees everything. Then she turned toward the dark hallway where Connor snored, oblivious to the storm he had unleashed. The story of betrayal had just begun. But Aisha was no victim anymore, she was planning. The next morning in Ikeja felt deceptively peaceful. The rain had washed the streets clean, children played near the gate, and the smell of fresh akara floated in from the roadside. But inside Connor and Aisha's home, silence lingered like smoke after a fire. Aisha sat on the edge of the couch, her hands folded neatly in her lap. She wore a calm expression, but her heart was a battlefield. Connor paced the living room, his voice sharp, his frustration rising. So you called your lawyer friend, he snapped. What are you trying to do, Aisha? Embarrass me. Aisha tilted her head toward him. Embarrass you. You embarrassed yourself the moment you brought another woman into our home. Her words cut like a knife. Connor scoffed. You think anyone will believe a blind woman over me? You think you can turn people against me? Don't forget, I'm the one who provides for this house. Aisha stood slowly, her cane clicking against the tiled floor. You provide for this house, Connor. But I built this home. With love, with prayers, with faith. He laughed bitterly. Faith doesn't pay rent. Aisha didn't respond. Her silence made him uncomfortable. At that moment, their two children, Bolu, age 10, and Fadikimi, age 7, ran in, their innocent voices breaking the tension. Mommy, are we still going to church today? Fadikimi asked, holding her mother's gown. Aisha smiled, kneeling down to touch her daughter's face. Yes, my dear. God never closes his doors. Connor's jaw tightened. So now you go and tell everyone in church that I'm a bad husband. She straightened, her voice calm but laced with steel. I won't need to tell them anything. God sees. He opened his mouth to reply, but before he could, his phone buzzed. The name Funk flashed on the screen. His stomach dropped. Aisha didn't need eyes to know who it was. She heard the hesitation in his breath. Go ahead, she said softly. Answer it. Connor froze. For the first time, he felt small, trapped in his own lies. He quickly silenced the phone and shoved it into his pocket. I'm late for work, he muttered, grabbing his car keys. Aisha nodded. Go. But remember, Connor, secrets don't stay buried forever. That evening, Connor returned home to find Aisha gone. The children were with her mother in Surale, and the house was eerily quiet. On the dining table, he found an envelope addressed to him. Inside was a letter written in Braille, but beneath it, she had typed a message for him to read. You broke what we built, Connor. But I will not cry anymore. I will rebuild my life, even if you try to destroy it. I will fight, not for revenge, but for my peace. Remember this day. His hands shook. He knew she meant every word. Meanwhile, in Suralaya, Aisha sat with her mother, Mama Reliat, a strong woman in her 60s with kind eyes and the firmness of experience. My daughter, she began, you've been through enough. Let that man go. A blind woman deserves peace too. Aisha sighed. Mama, I loved him. I gave everything. But he took my trust and turned it into his excuse. Mama Reliat squeezed her hand. You are stronger than you think. But don't rush. Men like Connor, they think they are untouchable until life humbles them. Aisha nodded slowly. Then let life do its work. The next week, Connor's arrogance met its first wall. At his office in Victoria Island, whispers started to spread. Someone had anonymously sent pictures of him and Funk, photos taken outside a hotel in Lekki. Guy, your wife no go forgive you for this one, oh, his colleague teased. Connor's face went pale. What pictures? Check your email, another said with a smirk. You're trending in the office WhatsApp group. He opened his email and froze. There they were. Crisp, clear, time-stamped. He remembered that night. He remembered the camera near the lobby but had thought nothing of it. He stormed into his office, slamming the door. Who sent this? No one knew. But he had a sinking feeling it was Aisha. He picked up his phone and dialed her number. It rang twice before she answered. Hello, Connor. Aisha. What did you do? You're trying to destroy me. Her tone was calm. Destroy you? No. I told you, I'm rebuilding myself. Maybe your own actions are destroying you. You're evil, he shouted. You think blindness makes you innocent, but you're manipulating everything. She chuckled softly. Funny. I was blind long before my eyes went dark, Connor. I just didn't see who you truly were. He gritted his teeth, then hung up. The sound of her quiet strength terrified him more than anger ever could. That night, Connor came home to find his mother, Mama Connor, waiting in the living room. She looked furious. Connor, she snapped. What have you done to that woman? I just came from church, everyone is talking. Aisha's name is being praised, and yours is being dragged in the mud. Connor's mouth opened but no words came out. She was blind, yes, but you were blind in spirit, his mother said, shaking her head. God will judge you. He clenched his fist. So now even you are against me. I'm not against you, my son, she said softly. But if you want peace, go and apologize before it's too late. Connor looked away. His pride burned hotter than shame. Never. But deep down, he knew Aisha had started something he couldn't control. 2 weeks later, Aisha sat in a quiet church in Suralaya, listening to the choir sing. Her face was calm, but her thoughts were fierce. She wasn't done yet. She had learned that Funk, Connor's mistress, worked for a client that owed Connor's company millions. The woman who had mocked her blindness might soon become the reason Connor's career fell apart. Aisha's lips curved slightly. You brought this on yourself, she murmured. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was Zainab, her lawyer friend. Aisha, it's time we move forward with the petition. We'll start with financial disclosures. Are you ready? Aisha took a deep breath. Yes, Zainab. Let's begin. That night, Connor received a court summons for marital misconduct and emotional abuse. His hands trembled as he read the papers. He had thought Aisha's blindness made her powerless. But now, she was hitting him where it hurt most, his pride, his career, his reputation. The hunter had become the hunt. Connor looked at the court document, his vision blurring. For the first time, fear replaced arrogance. But the question lingered, how far would Aisha go to make him feel what she felt? The sound of thunder rolled across Lagos again that morning, as though the heavens themselves were preparing for a showdown. Connor sat in his car outside the courthouse in Ikeja, gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. He had read the summons 100 times, yet it still felt unreal: marital misconduct, emotional abuse, filed by his blind wife. He hissed, "Aisha, you want war? You'll get it." Inside the courthouse, Aisha sat beside her lawyer and friend, Zainab, dressed in a simple navy gown. Her dark glasses reflected no emotion, but her posture, straight, composed, proud, made people notice. Even without sight, she had presence. "Are you sure about this?" Zainab whispered. Aisha nodded. "I'm not doing this to hurt him. I'm doing this to protect my children's future." But deep in her heart, she knew, a part of her wanted Connor to feel the humiliation she once felt. As the session began, Connor arrived with his lawyer, a sharp-tongued man named Barrister Ojo, who clearly underestimated Aisha. "Mrs. Aisha Adikana," Ojo began, "my client believes you've exaggerated your claims. He has provided financial stability, a home, and emotional support despite your condition." The courtroom murmured. Aisha lifted her chin slightly. "My condition?" "Yes," Ojo continued confidently, "your blindness. My client feels you've grown paranoid, imagining things that never happened." Zainab stood abruptly. "Your Honor, this is not only disrespectful but cruel. My client may have lost her sight, but not her senses." The judge, a stern woman in her 50s, frowned. "Counsel, watch your words." Ojo smirked but pressed on. "Then let us ask, where is the proof of this so-called infidelity?" Aisha's heart raced. She had anticipated this. Calmly, she turned her face toward Zainab, who slid a brown envelope across the table. Inside were printed photographs, clear shots of Connor and Funk holding hands, kissing, and entering a hotel together. Gasps filled the courtroom. Connor's face turned crimson. "How did you get those?" he whispered harshly. Aisha's lips curved into a faint smile. "I may be blind, Connor, but God sends eyes where mine cannot reach." The judge slammed her gavel once. "Order in the court." Connor's lawyer tried to recover. "Your Honor, this could be fabricated." "Enough," the judge cut in. "The evidence speaks for itself. We will review the financial claims next week." This session is adjourned. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed like bees. "Mrs. Adikana, is it true your husband cheated? How does it feel standing up for women with disabilities? Do you think your blindness helped you see the truth about him?" Aisha didn't respond. Zainab guided her through the flashing cameras, but her silence said more than words ever could. Connor, humiliated and furious, shoved his way through the crowd. "Aisha, you've ruined me." She turned her head slightly in his direction. "No, Connor. You ruined yourself. I just showed the world what was already there." Later that evening, Connor's world began to crumble piece by piece. His boss called him in. "Connor, your conduct is all over social media. We can't have this kind of scandal tied to the company. You're on suspension until further notice." Connor's voice cracked. "Sir, it's my personal life." His boss sighed. "Personal becomes public when your wife files charges. Fix it, or don't come back." The line went dead. Connor slammed his phone against the wall. He couldn't believe it. The same Aisha he used to control, the woman he once pitied, had now turned his life upside down. At her mother's home, Aisha sat quietly on the veranda that night, listening to the Lagos traffic hum in the distance. Her children slept peacefully inside. Zainab joined her, sipping a cup of tea. You've made a strong statement today. But what's your next move? Aisha smiled faintly. Peace. I just want peace. Zainab raised a brow. Peace doesn't usually come after war, my friend. Aisha turned her face toward the breeze. Then maybe I'll have to create my own kind. But peace was the last thing Connor wanted. A few nights later, he showed up unannounced at Mama Reliat's house in Suralia. The dogs barked, the gate clanged open, and his voice echoed in the compound. Aisha. Come out. We need to talk. Mama Reliat appeared in her wrapper, frowning. Connor, this is not the time. My daughter needs rest. I'm still her husband. Connor barked. She can't just disgrace me in public and walk away. From inside, Aisha's calm voice drifted out. If you came here to apologize, Connor, do it with respect. If you came here to fight, you can leave. He gritted his teeth, fist clenched. You think you're untouchable now because people pity you? Aisha slowly walked to the doorway, her white cane tapping rhythmically. No, Connor. Not pity. Respect. Something you never gave me. For a moment, they stood facing each other, sight against insight, anger against grace. Then Connor whispered, his voice trembling, You're not done with me, Aisha. I'll make you regret this. Her voice was calm, almost chilling. Maybe. But remember this, the blind woman you mock now sees you clearer than ever. That night, Connor sat alone in his car outside, watching the light go off in the house. He was furious, humiliated, and desperate. He opened his phone and called Funk. Funk, I need your help, he said. If we can show the court that Aisha's unstable, I can turn this around. Funk hesitated. You want to lie about your blind wife being mad? Connor, that's low. Just do it, he barked. But Funk wasn't convinced. You're toxic, Connor. You used me, and now you want me to help you destroy her. Count me out. She hung up. Connor slammed his fist against the steering wheel, screaming into the night. In trying to destroy Aisha, he had lost his job, his reputation, and now, even his mistress. At dawn, Aisha received a call from Zainab. Aisha, we've been contacted by a women's rights foundation. They want to feature your story, a blind woman who stood up to emotional abuse and domestic betrayal. Aisha was silent for a moment, then whispered, I never wanted fame. I just wanted dignity. Zainab smiled. Sometimes, dignity brings its own spotlight. Aisha's lips trembled. Then maybe it's time the world hears the truth. Aisha's story is about to go viral, but fame can be a double-edged sword, and Connor isn't done fighting. In the next chapter, he'll cross a dangerous line that could change everything. The morning sun rose hot over Lagos, painting the streets of Suralia in gold. Vendors shouted, buses honked, and generators hummed, the city was alive. But for Connor, the brightness of the day only deepened the shadows in his heart. He sat alone in his small, cluttered apartment, jobless, angry, and humiliated. His phone buzzed every few minutes with messages he refused to read. Former colleagues had stopped calling. Friends avoided him. Even Funk had blocked his number. Connor stared at a photo on the table, his wedding picture with Aisha. Her smile in that frame haunted him. Everyone loves her now, he thought bitterly. The blind saint of Lagos. And I'm the villain. He poured himself a glass of whiskey, though it was barely past 9 in the morning. You think you've won, Aisha, he muttered. But I'll show you what real pain feels like. Across the city, Aisha's home was peaceful. She sat with Zainab and Mama Reliat, preparing for a scheduled radio interview. The program, Voices of Women, had invited her to share her story of domestic betrayal and resilience. Zainab brushed invisible lint from Aisha's gown. You're trending, my friend. The story of a faithful blind woman betrayed by her husband, it's touched people's hearts. You're becoming a voice for others. Aisha smiled faintly. I didn't plan to become a voice. I just refused to stay silent. Mama Reliat placed a gentle hand on her daughter's shoulder. Use your voice wisely, my child. Fame brings both light and shadow. Aisha nodded. I know, Mama. I'll speak truth, nothing more. Meanwhile, Kunle's mind had sunk deeper into darkness. He watched the live stream of Aisha's radio interview on his phone. Her calm voice filled the airwaves. Blindness doesn't mean helplessness. I may not see faces, but I recognize intentions. I loved the man who thought my blindness made me weak. But love without respect is not love, it's control. The host interjected. What would you say to other women going through betrayal? Aisha took a deep breath. Forgive, but never forget your worth. Pain can make you bitter or better, the choice is yours. Listeners flooded the comment section with admiration. Messages poured in. Queen Aisha, you are an inspiration. You've given blind women strength. Justice for Aisha. Kunle's fist tightened. So now you're a celebrity, ABI. Let's see how long that lasts. He picked up his phone and made a call. Hello, Bros Ode, he said cautiously. You still do small jobs? A gruff voice on the other end replied, depends. Who's the target? Kunle hesitated, glancing again at Aisha's photo. I just want to scare her. Nothing too serious. She needs to know who's in control. Control costs money, Ode said flatly. Money is not a problem, Kunle lied. I get it. That evening, Aisha returned home from the interview exhausted but fulfilled. The children hugged her, and laughter filled the house again, something she hadn't had in months. Mommy, I saw you on my teacher's phone. Bolu exclaimed proudly. Everyone in school knows your story. Aisha smiled, touching his cheek. Then remember this, my son, truth is stronger than lies. But outside the gate, a car idled quietly. Two men inside observed the house. One of them, a bulky man with a scar on his chin, whispered, that's her. The blind woman. The other man nodded. Oga Kunle say we should warn her small. Just to make her afraid. Tonight. Yes. Midnight. Later that night, Aisha couldn't sleep. Her instincts, sharpened by blindness, told her something felt off. She could sense it in the silence outside. The crickets had gone quiet. The air felt heavy. Suddenly, she heard a faint metallic sound, the gate latch moving. She sat up, heart racing, clutching her cane. Who's there? No answer. Mama Reliat stirred in the next room. Aisha. Did you say something? Before Aisha could reply, a loud bang echoed from the backyard. The children screamed. Two masked men stormed in through the back door, shouting. Where's the madam? Bring her out. Aisha froze. Please, don't hurt my children. One of the men hissed, we just came to give you a message. Stay away from the court, or next time, it won't end well. He shoved her roughly to the floor, scattering the glass lamp beside her. Mama Reliat burst out of her room, screaming. Leave her alone. Thieves. Help. The men fled as neighbors began shouting and dogs barked. Within minutes, the compound was awake, but the attackers were gone. Zainab arrived within the hour, her face pale with fury. Aisha, this wasn't a robbery. They came for you. Aisha nodded shakily. I know. It's Kunle. Zainab clenched her fist. We'll go to the police. This has gone too far. Mama Reliat held Aisha's trembling hands. My daughter, I told you, pride can make a man dangerous. Aisha took a deep breath, steadying herself. I won't let him silence me. He took my sight, my peace, and my dignity. I won't let him take my courage too. The next morning, the news broke across Lagos. Blind woman targeted in midnight attack after speaking out against domestic abuse. Social media exploded again. Sympathy, outrage, and support poured in from across the country. Kunle, meanwhile, saw the headlines and panicked. He never told them to hurt her, just to scare her. But now, the attack had backfired spectacularly. He called Ode in a frenzy. What did you do? Ade's voice was cold. Relax, boss. Nobody died. Who? She's on the news. They are saying I did it. Did you? Ode asked mockingly. Kunle hung up and smashed his phone against the floor. For the first time, he realized he had lost control completely. That afternoon, Aisha appeared on television, her voice steady though her hands trembled slightly. To the men who attacked me, and to anyone who thinks fear can silence truth, you failed. You can wound the body, but not the spirit. Her courage inspired thousands. Women's groups rallied behind her, demanding justice. Kunle's name began trending again, this time as the suspected mastermind behind the attack. He stared at his reflection in the mirror that night, eyes bloodshot, unshaven, broken. How did it come to this? He whispered. But deep down, he knew. It came to this the night he thought her blindness made her powerless. Kunle is now the prime suspect in a public scandal, haunted by both the law and his own guilt. But Aisha's victory will soon take an unexpected turn, because not every ally she trusts has pure intentions. The sound of Lagos never truly stopped. Traffic, sirens, radios, and street vendors created a constant hum that filled every silence. But inside Aisha's sitting room, the world felt painfully still. She sat by the window, cane resting by her side, her fingers tracing the edge of her teacup. The bruises on her arm had faded, but the tremor in her voice remained. Zainab sat opposite her, scrolling through her phone. You've gone viral again, she said. The governor's wife just retweeted your speech. People are calling you the voice of strength. Aisha smiled faintly. I never wanted fame, Zainab. I only wanted peace. You deserve both, Zainab replied softly. Kunle's lawyer called again, they're offering an out-of-court settlement. Should I tell them no? Aisha's expression hardened. Tell them I don't settle with cowards. I'll face him in court. Mama Reliot, who was knitting quietly in the corner, sighed. My daughter, justice is good, but don't let bitterness consume you. A wound doesn't heal by scratching it. Aisha reached for her mother's hand. Mama, this isn't about bitterness. It's about every woman who was told to keep quiet. I'll speak for all of them. The shadows behind the support. Later that week, Zainab helped Aisha prepare for a live television appearance. The show's producers had offered generous compensation, and Zainab had been handling all Aisha's bookings. But lately, she had begun to feel something shift. Every headline was about Aisha. Every message, every invitation, none for Zainab. As she watched the cameras focus on Aisha, a bitter whisper crept into her heart, it's always her. The blind woman this, the blind woman that. During a commercial break, the show's host turned to Zainab and smiled. You're Aisha's manager, right? She's a national treasure. If she ever wants to run for public office, she'll win hands down. Zainab forced a smile. Of course. She's amazing. But inside, jealousy stirred like a hidden flame. Kunle on the run. Meanwhile, Kunle's life was unraveling. The police had frozen his accounts, and his name was being dragged across the news. He sat in a dimly lit bar on the island, unshaven, broke, and paranoid. They are painting me like a monster, he muttered. The bartender shrugged. Well, now your wife way blind. People go believe her before you. Connor slammed his fist on the counter. She's not innocent. She destroyed me. Then prove it, a voice said behind him. Connor turned. It was Tigger, an old acquaintance known for shady deals. Tigger smirked. I can help you turn the tide. You want your story told, right? I know someone who can make it happen, for a price. Connor hesitated. I have no money. Tigger leaned closer. You still have something, her secrets. Connor frowned. What do you mean? Tigger smirked. You were her husband. There must be things she wouldn't want the world to know. Connor's eyes narrowed. Maybe there are. The trap of trust. Back in Suralaya, Zainab received a strange call. Good afternoon, madam, the voice said politely. My name is Tigger. I work with Lagos News Weekly. We'd love to feature Aisha's private story, from her closest friend's perspective. We'll pay well. Zainab hesitated. You want my perspective? Yes. Exclusively. The public trusts you. And don't worry, we'll make you look good too, maybe even offer you your own column. She stared at her reflection in the mirror. For a brief moment, she imagined her own face on the front page. Zainab Bello, the woman behind Aisha's rise. All right, she said finally. Send me the details. The unraveling. 2 days later, Aisha's phone buzzed non-stop. Her friend Busy called, voice trembling. Aisha, are you seeing the blogs? Someone leaked your hospital reports and private recordings. What? Aisha's voice shook. What reports? The ones from the night of the attack, the police interviews, the therapy sessions, even private conversations. Aisha's heart raced. Who could have? Before she finished, her doorbell rang. It was Zainab, holding flowers and a guilty smile. Aisha, please don't believe everything you read online. Aisha turned her blind gaze toward her. Zainab, did you leak my story? Tears welled in Zainab's eyes. They promised to tell it right. They said it would help your image. My image? Aisha's voice cracked. You sold my pain for likes and money. Zainab fell to her knees, sobbing. I made a mistake, Aisha. I thought I was helping us both. Aisha turned away, tears streaming silently. I forgave Connor once for betrayal. I won't make the same mistake again. Mama Reliat, hearing the commotion, rushed in. Zainab, leave this house before I lose my temper. Zainab backed away, trembling. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The door closed behind her with a heavy thud, a friendship shattered. The city reacts. The leaked report sparked chaos online. Some sympathized with Aisha, while others accused her of exaggeration. Connor seized the moment. He went on a rival TV program, feigning tears. I loved Aisha, he said, voice breaking. But fame changed her. She made me the villain to build her brand. The audience murmured. The interviewer leaned forward. Are you saying she lied? Connor wiped his eyes. All I'm saying is, there are two sides to every story. The next morning, the headlines were merciless. Connor speaks out, was Aisha's story a lie? The truth behind the blind woman's fame. Aisha sat on her couch, clutching her children. They are twisting everything, Mama. They are trying to silence me again. Mama Reliat's voice was firm. Then you must rise again, stronger this time. The truth always finds its voice. As night fell, Aisha received an unknown message. Meet me at Freedom Cafe tomorrow. I have evidence that can clear your name and destroy Connor's lies. The sender. Tigger. Aisha hesitated, feeling a cold chill crawl up her spine. Was it a trap, or the chance for redemption? The morning air was humid, filled with the distant hum of Lagos traffic and the smell of roasted corn by the roadside. Aisha stood at the entrance of Freedom Cafe in Ikeja, her cane tapping softly against the tiled floor. The cafe was buzzing, a blend of laughter, phone calls, and music from portable speakers. She wore a simple cream-colored dress and dark shades. Beside her was Busy, her loyal friend and assistant. "You're sure about this, Aisha?" Busy asked, worry clear in her voice. "You don't even know this man." Aisha tilted her head slightly, listening to the voices around her. "He said he has proof, Busy. Proof that Kunle paid journalists to twist my story." Busy sighed. "Still, something about this doesn't feel right." Aisha smiled faintly. "I've lived in darkness long enough, my friend. I can tell when danger breathes near me. Let's go." Inside the cafe, Tiga was waiting, dark-skinned, muscular, dressed in a cheap suit that tried to look expensive. His eyes darted nervously around the room as he sipped his coffee. When Aisha entered, he stood up quickly. "Madam Aisha," he said with a forced smile. "It's an honor to meet you in person." Her tone was calm but sharp. "You said you have evidence." "I didn't come here for flattery." Tiga gestured for her to sit. "Of course. Please." Busy sat beside her, phone discreetly recording the conversation. Tiga leaned forward, lowering his voice. "I know Kunle hired people to ruin your name. I even helped him contact a journalist who works for Lagos Weekly. But things went too far. They wanted to leak your therapy notes, your medical reports, everything. He paid them to make you look unstable." Aisha's fingers tightened on her cane. "And why are you telling me this now?" Tiga shrugged. "Because he hasn't paid me in full. And because I hate seeing good people destroyed. For a small fee, I can give you the recordings, proof that he plotted everything." Aisha tilted her head. "You want me to pay you to clean up the mess you helped create?" He chuckled. "Madam, in Lagos, everybody eats from both sides. You of all people should understand that." Busy frowned. "You're disgusting." Tiga smirked. "Maybe. But I'm useful." Before Aisha could respond, her phone buzzed. It was Zainab. She ignored it. Tiga reached into his jacket and placed a small flash drive on the table. "This contains everything, voice notes, messages, payments. You'll see how deep Kunle's betrayal runs." Aisha's hand hovered over it, but she hesitated. "How do I know it's not another trap?" He leaned in closer, his breath hot with the smell of coffee and lies. "You don't." At that moment, two men entered the cafe. They wore plain shirts, but something about their movements was coordinated, alert, calculated. Busy noticed first. "Aisha," she whispered. "Those men, they keep looking at us." Aisha's heartbeat quickened. "Are they police?" "No," Busy said. "I think they're with him." Tiga's eyes flicked toward them and back to Aisha. "Relax, they're just security." But before he could say more, one of the men grabbed Busy's phone. The other seized the flash drive. "Hey!" Busy shouted, standing up. "Give that back." The cafe erupted in chaos. Chairs toppled, cups shattered. Aisha gripped her cane tightly, panic rising. Tiga stood, pretending to calm the situation. "Relax, everybody. Just a misunderstanding." But Aisha knew. She could feel the tension, the deceit, the way the air shifted when lies filled it. "Busy, get us out of here," she said firmly. They rushed toward the exit as the men shouted behind them. Outside, Busy waved down a taxi, her hands trembling. "Drive. Quickly." As they sped away, Aisha turned her face toward the window. Her heart was pounding, but her mind was sharper than ever. "Busy," she whispered, "Tiga wasn't working against Kunle. He was working with him. Busy looked at her, shocked. What? But why? To finish what Connor started, Aisha said quietly. They wanted me scared, humiliated, and off balance before the court date. A call from the past. That night, Aisha sat alone in her bedroom, the city lights blinking faintly outside. Her phone buzzed again. This time, she answered. It was Zainab, her voice weak, shaky. Aisha. I'm sorry for everything. I've been getting threats too. Someone's following me. Aisha frowned. Threats from who? I think Connor, Zainab said. He knows I helped you gather evidence. Please, I'm scared. Aisha took a deep breath. Stay inside tonight. Don't open the door for anyone. I'll call the police. As she ended the call, a strange sound echoed outside her window, the quiet hum of a car engine that had been idling too long. She rose slowly, feeling her way to the curtain. Busy, she called out, come here. Busy joined her, peeking through the curtain. There's a black SUV parked down the street. It's been there for almost an hour. Aisha's voice was calm, but her heart raced. They're watching us. The warning. The next morning, Aisha received an envelope at her gate, no name, no sender. Inside was a single note, typed in bold letters. Stop the case or lose everything. Blind doesn't mean safe. Busy gasped. Oh my God, Aisha. They are threatening you. Aisha folded the note carefully. Let them. They think blindness makes me easy to scare. She turned her head slightly toward the open window where the sound of life continued, buses honking, traders shouting, music playing from distant speakers. They don't understand, she said quietly. I don't need eyes to see through evil. The twist. That afternoon, Zainab called again, crying. Aisha, something happened. Connor was arrested this morning. They found illegal documents in his office, forged property papers. Someone tipped off the EFCC. Aisha's lips parted. Who did? I don't know, Zainab said. But they are saying it came from inside his circle. Aisha froze. Could it be Tiga? Or was there someone else, playing both sides of the game? She sat in silence, her thoughts swirling. Revenge had started one way, but now, it was moving beyond her control. As night fell, the children's laughter echoed from their room, innocent and unaware of the storm surrounding their parents. Aisha sat quietly, whispering a prayer to herself. God, give me the strength not just to fight, but to finish this. Outside, thunder roared again, the sound of justice approaching. Lagos mornings always carried a strange rhythm, the sounds of vendors calling out ajij bread. Hot ajij bread, downfall buses honking impatiently, and gospel songs pouring from loudspeakers in nearby shops. But inside Aisha's home that morning, everything felt unnaturally quiet. Busy entered the living room, her face pale. Aisha, I can't find the children. Aisha froze mid-sentence. What do you mean, you can't find them? They're not in their room, Busy said, panic in her voice. Their school bags are still here. The gate was unlocked. Aisha's heart began to race. Check with Mama Reliat. Maybe she took them for a walk. I did, Busy replied, tears forming. She said she hasn't seen them since breakfast. Aisha's world started spinning. Her fingers gripped the cane tightly, her knuckles white. No, not my children. Just then, her phone rang. The number was unknown. Hello. A familiar voice answered, calm, chilling, deliberate. You should have stayed quiet, Aisha. Her breath caught. Connor. He chuckled darkly. They say I'm in jail, but Lagos has many doors, my dear wife. The children are safe, for now. But if you don't drop the case, I can't promise how long that'll last. Aisha's knees nearly gave out. You're a monster, she cried. Monster. Kunle laughed. You made me one when you humiliated me. The blind woman turned the city against me. Now, let's see how strong you really are when you can't even protect your own blood. Then the line went dead. Busy rushed to her side. Aisha. What did he say? Aisha's lips trembled. He has them. Busy gasped. The children. Kunle took them. Aisha nodded slowly, tears spilling down her cheeks. He said if I don't withdraw the case, he'll hurt them. Busy grabbed her phone. We are calling the police. Now. But Aisha grabbed her wrist. Wait. If we make it public, he might panic and do something worse. We have to be careful. Her voice shook, but her mind was already racing, blind, yes, but not powerless. The mother's resolve. That evening, Aisha sat in the dark, hands clasped tightly. Mama Reliat knelt beside her, crying softly. My daughter, this man has lost his soul. What are we going to do? Aisha spoke quietly. We'll fight smart. Kunle wants control, I'll give him the illusion of it. She called Zainab. File a temporary withdrawal notice for the case, make it public. Leak it online. Zainab was shocked. Aisha, are you sure? That could destroy your credibility. I don't care about reputation, Aisha said firmly. I care about my children. Once I get them back, I'll end this my own way. The forced surrender. The next morning, news broke. Aisha Bello withdraws domestic case against ex-husband. Public shock as activist caves under pressure. Reporters gathered outside her gate, shouting questions. Aisha, why did you drop the case? Was it all a lie? Did Kunle force you to do this? Busy tried to keep them back. Please, she won't be answering questions. Aisha stood behind the curtains, silent. The humiliation burned, but she reminded herself, this was for them. Later that day, her phone rang again. Kunle's voice came through, smug. Smart woman. I knew you'd come to your senses. Aisha's tone was cold. Where are my children? They are safe. You'll see them soon, he said. But I need you to do one more thing. You go on television tomorrow and tell the world you lied, that I never hurt you. Aisha's chest tightened. Kunle, please. Haven't you done enough? He hissed. Do it, or you'll never see them again. Then he hung up. The silent plan. That night, Aisha couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, listening to the distant sound of the city. Her blindness had once felt like a curse, but now it gave her something powerful: patience, focus, and intuition. Busy, she whispered. We are going to play his game, but this time, I'll be the one pulling the strings. Busy looked confused. How? Tomorrow, we'll go live, Aisha said. But not with a confession, with the truth. Every word, every recording, every threat he sent me. I want the world to hear him in his own voice. Busy's eyes widened. You recorded him? Aisha nodded. Every call. The broadcast. The next day, cameras filled her living room. The same reporters who once doubted her gathered with curiosity and anticipation. Madam Aisha, one asked, you said you wished to clarify your statement. She smiled faintly. Yes. I've been silent long enough. The live feed began. Aisha held her head high. They said I withdrew my case. But I did it to protect my children. Today, I'm here to tell the world the truth. She pressed a button on the recorder. Kunle's voice filled the air. You should have stayed quiet, Aisha, drop the case or lose everything. Gasps echoed across the room. If you don't obey me, you'll never see them again, his voice continued, clear and undeniable. The reporters exchanged glances, some covered their mouths in shock. Then Aisha spoke. This is what domestic betrayal looks like: control, manipulation, and fear. But today, I choose courage. The room fell silent, except for one thing. Her phone buzzed again. A new message. You've made your choice. Now watch what happens. Next. Moments later, police sirens wailed outside. 2 officers burst in. Madam Aisha, we've located a vehicle matching your husband's description near Ape. Aisha's breath caught. And the children? The officer hesitated. We're not sure yet. The car's on fire. Busy screamed, covering her mouth. Mama Reliat collapsed into a chair, praying aloud. Aisha's words spun into chaos. Her heart pounded like a drum. God, no, she whispered. Not my babies. The camera still roared, capturing her raw anguish, her trembling hands, her strength breaking in real time. The sound of sirens tore through the Lagos night, echoing down the narrow streets of Ape. Smoke rose like a black serpent into the air, glowing orange against the skyline. Aisha's trembling hands clutched Busy's arm as they sped toward the scene. The police van bounced over potholes, sirens blaring. Please, she whispered, voice breaking, let them be alive. Let my children be alive. Busy could barely speak, tears streaming down her cheeks. They will be, Aisha. I know it. God won't let you suffer like this. But Aisha could feel it in her bones, something was terribly wrong. The scene at Ape. When they arrived, flames still licked the side of an abandoned car. The night was filled with the stench of burning rubber and fear. Police officers moved frantically, shouting orders. One officer approached cautiously. Madam Aisha, please stay in the car. Aisha shook her head. No. I need to hear it from you. Where are my children? The officer hesitated. We found 2 sets of small shoes near the vehicle, but no bodies. Someone took them before the fire started. Aisha gasped, collapsing against Busy's shoulder. They are alive. It seems that way, he nodded. But whoever took them knew what they were doing. It wasn't random. Busy frowned. You mean it wasn't Connor? The officer sighed. We traced the car's registration to Connor, yes. But according to airport security footage, he left Lagos this afternoon. He's gone. Aisha's heart dropped. Gone? Where? Possibly Ghana, the officer said quietly. We are coordinating with Interpol now. The stranger in the shadows. As Aisha processed this, a strange silence filled the air, until a voice came from behind the police tape. Aisha. She froze. That voice. Soft, hesitant, familiar. Who's there? She asked, her ears straining. A tall figure stepped forward. It's me, Idris. Busy's eyes widened. Your cousin. The one who used to handle Connor's contracts. Aisha's grip tightened on her cane. Idris. What are you doing here? He hesitated, then spoke in a low tone. I need to tell you something, but not here. They are watching. Before she could respond, 2 plainclothes officers approached, pulling him aside. Sir, we'll need you for questioning. Idris's eyes darted toward Aisha. Trust no one, he whispered urgently before being led away. Back at home. That night, Aisha sat alone in the living room, the air heavy with the smell of burnt smoke still clinging to her clothes. Her mother hummed softly in the background, praying under her breath. Busy placed a blanket over her shoulders. You need rest. I can't, Aisha whispered. Connor didn't take them. Someone else did. Someone close. Busy frowned. You think Idris? I don't know, Aisha said softly. But I could hear it in his voice. He's afraid, not guilty. She rubbed her temples. Kunle leaving Lagos doesn't make sense. He's a coward, yes, but he'd never run from control. He must be working with someone. The call at midnight. At exactly 12:43 a.m., her phone rang. The number was scrambled. She answered immediately. Hello. No response. Only soft breathing. Then a faint, frightened whisper. Mommy. Aisha's heart stopped. Zainab. Is that you, baby? Mommy, it's me. Toby. We're scared. Uncle Idris said he's trying to help. But there's another man here, he has a gun. Aisha's body went cold. Toby. Where are you? Tell me where you are. The line crackled. Mommy, he said Daddy paid him, too. The phone went dead. Aisha screamed, dropping the phone. Busy grabbed it, redialing desperately, but the number was unreachable. The hidden connection. The next morning, detectives visited her home again. The lead investigator, DSP Amodi, looked grim. Madam Aisha, we reviewed CCTV footage from Ape. Your husband's associate, Idris, was there, but he wasn't alone. The second man is someone you might know. He placed a printed photo on the table. Aisha reached out, fingers brushing over the smooth paper as Busy described it. Busy gasped. Oh my God, that's Alhaji Mokhtar. Aisha frowned. Who? Your husband's lawyer. The one who tried to make you sign those documents last year, Busy reminded her. Aisha's jaw tightened. He's been helping Kunle launder money for years. He must have the children, they're his leverage. Amadi nodded. We think so too. But there's something else you should know, Alhaji Mokhtar wasn't just Kunle's lawyer. He's his cousin. They've been working together to cover up his offshore accounts. Aisha clenched her fist. So this is about money. Power. Control. Everything he couldn't take from me, he wants to buy back with fear. The revelation. Hours later, Aisha received an email from an unknown sender. The subject line read, You wanted proof. Here it is. Busy opened it carefully. Inside was a video, security footage from a warehouse near Lekki. The children were there, tied but unharmed. Idris was with them, arguing with another man, Alhaji Mokhtar. Then, the unthinkable, Kunle appeared on screen, alive and furious. You promised to keep them quiet until I fix this mess, he shouted at Mokhtar. Aisha's hands trembled. He's alive, he never left Lagos. Busy stared at the screen in horror. He faked everything. The flight. The fire. The news. All of it. Tears streamed down Aisha's face. He used my children as pawns in his game. The mother's fury. She stood, her voice trembling with rage and clarity. He thinks my blindness is weakness. But he's about to learn, a mother's love can burn hotter than any fire. Busy swallowed hard. What are you going to do? Aisha lifted her chin. I'm going to bring him down. Not through fear, through truth. And this time, I won't just expose him. I'll make sure he never hurts anyone again. She turned toward the window, face calm, eyes unseeing, but her voice fierce. He took my sight. He took my peace. But he will never take my soul. The morning sun rose over Lagos, painting the skyline in dull gold. The city buzzed as usual, impatient drivers honking, street hawkers shouting prices, gospel songs echoing from distant speakers. But inside Aisha's modest sitting room, the world was silent. Dead silent. Aisha sat on the couch in a flowing white bubu, her face calm but her mind a storm. On the table before her lay three things: a voice recorder, her phone, and a flash drive containing the video proof of Kunle's crimes. Busy watched nervously. Aisha, are you sure about this? You're playing a dangerous game. Kunle is desperate. Aisha tilted her head slightly, listening to the hum of a generator nearby. That's exactly why he'll come to me. Desperate men always return to the source of their power, and for Connor, that was me. The bait. Aisha picked up her phone and opened her messaging app. She dictated a voice note that would echo across WhatsApp like a whisper in the wind. Connor, I know everything. I know where you hid the money, who you paid, and what you planned. The police are already watching your cousin. If you want to save yourself, meet me at the old family house in Suralia, alone. This is your last chance. Busy's eyes widened. Are you out of your mind? You're calling him back to you? Aisha smiled faintly. I'm not calling him back. I'm calling him out. She pressed send. Then she turned to Busy and said softly, call DSP Amodi. Tell him to station his men around the house, no uniforms. Connor must think it's just us. The return of the betrayer. By evening, the rain started to fall, soft at first, then pouring heavily, washing the streets clean. The old house in Suralia sat quiet, its faded paint peeling, its compound swallowed by overgrown weeds. Inside, Aisha sat alone on the wooden chair where she and Connor once shared dreams of a family, of a future. Footsteps approached outside. She could feel him before she heard him, that heavy, confident gait she used to know so well. The door creaked open. Connor stepped in, soaked and furious. You think you can trick me, Aisha, he spat. You're blind, not smart. She didn't flinch. I may not see, Connor, but I see you better now than I ever did when I had eyes. He smacked. You sent that message just to lure me here. To what? Beg for the children? Aisha's lips tightened. No. To tell you that your time is up. The power shift. He laughed bitterly. You have no power over me. The kids are safe as long as you stay quiet. But if you go to the police. Already did, Aisha interrupted. Her voice was calm, deliberate. In fact, they are listening right now. Connor froze. What? I left my phone on live record since you walked in. You've already admitted to everything. He launched forward, grabbing her by the wrist. You think you can destroy me with your little games? Aisha didn't move. I don't need to destroy you, Connor. You already did that yourself. He released her roughly, pacing the room like a caged lion. You think the police will believe a blind woman over me? I'm a businessman. I have connections, lawyers. She cut him off again. An offshore account. And fake documents. And a cousin who's already confessed. You underestimated me, Connor. You always did. The hidden witness. Just then, a small sound came from behind the door, a child's sob. Connor turned sharply. Daddy, a tiny voice whispered. His eyes widened. Toby. Before he could react, the door swung open. DSP Amodi entered with 2 officers, Busy, and both children, frightened but unharmed. Connor's face turned pale. You tricked me. Aisha stood slowly, gripping her cane. No, Connor. I gave you one last chance to confess before your children. You failed. Amodi held up a recorder. We have everything we need, Mr. Connor Adewale, conspiracy, child endangerment, fraud, and arson. You're under arrest. Connor backed away, shaking his head. No. You can't do this. I did everything for this family. For her. Aisha's voice cracked. You did it for yourself, Connor. You were never jealous of other men. You were jealous of my peace, the peace you couldn't find inside yourself. The officers grabbed him, cuffed his wrist. He shouted, You regret this, Aisha. You see. She lifted her chin. I already have. And I survived. The aftermath. As they dragged him outside, Aisha heard her children's voices calling her name. Mommy. She knelt, tears spilling freely as she pulled them close. My babies, my loves. It's over. You're safe now. Toby clung to her waist, sobbing. I thought Daddy was going to hurt you. She kissed his hair. He can't anymore. We are free. Busy knelt beside her, voice trembling. Aisha, you did it. Aisha shook her head softly. No, Busy. I didn't do it alone. You stood by me when I had nothing. That's real friendship. Amadi stepped forward. Madam Aisha, you'll need to come with us to give a full statement. But for what it's worth, your courage saved your children's lives. She smiled faintly. Then it was worth everything. The fire inside. Later that night, when the house was quiet again, Aisha sat by her window. The rain had stopped, and Lagos paused with life outside, horns, laughter, the rhythm of survival. She whispered to herself. Blindness didn't break me. Betrayal didn't end me. I found sight in the darkness, and I found myself. She reached for her cane, touching its handle gently. I may never see the sunrise again, she said, but I can feel it, and that's enough. 3 months had passed since Kunle's arrest. The headlines had been relentless: businessman faces fraud and arson charges, wife's testimony exposes family betrayal. But now, Lagos had moved on to its next scandal. For Aisha, however, the echo still lingered, in her quiet apartment, in the rustle of her children's laughter, and in the whispers that followed her whenever she walked to church or the market. She had become a symbol, the blind woman who saw the truth. The visit. It was a Sunday afternoon when DSP Amadi visited again. He stood at her doorway, hat in hand, face weary but kind. Aisha, he began softly, I wanted to deliver this personally. He handed her a sealed envelope. The paper smelled faintly of cologne, Kunle's old scent. Aisha froze. What is this? Amadi sighed. A letter. Kunle wrote it before what happened last week. Busy, who had been sitting nearby, leaned forward. Before what happened? Amadi hesitated. He took his own life in prison. They found this in his cell. Silence fell. The hum of the city outside seemed to vanish. Aisha's fingers trembled as she held the envelope. He is gone. Amadi nodded. I'm sorry. For everything. The letter. Later that night, when the children were asleep, Aisha sat by the window, moonlight spilling faintly across her face. She unfolded the letter carefully. The handwriting was rough, uneven, Kunle's voice trapped in ink. She began to read. Aisha. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. You were always the strong one, I just never knew it. When life blinded you, I lost my mind trying to control what I couldn't understand. I hated how people pitied you. I hated that they admired you more than me. And every time you smiled through pain, I felt smaller. I destroyed everything we built because I thought I could rebuild it without you. But now, sitting in this cold cell, I finally see what you meant when you said love is not about control, it's about compassion. I'm sorry for the fear I caused, for the lies, and for using the children as pawns. I don't expect forgiveness. There's one last thing you need to know, the offshore account in my name was never closed. I left it to you and the children. It's the only good thing I can leave behind. Live freely, Aisha. And when you think of me, don't remember the monster. Remember the man who once loved you, before jealousy stole his soul. Kunle. Tears fell silently down Aisha's face. Her lips trembled, but she did not crumble. Busy reached out and hugged her tightly. Aisha, you don't have to forgive him. Aisha whispered, but I will. Not for him, for me. Forgiveness isn't weakness, Busy. It's freedom. The gift of sight. A week later, at the Lagos Eye Foundation, Aisha sat in a consultation room with her doctor. She had been told before that her blindness was irreversible, the nerves too damaged. But new medical trials were offering hope. The doctor smiled. Mrs. Adewale, the surgery could restore partial sight. Are you ready? Aisha inhaled deeply. Yes. I want to see my children's faces again. When the bandages came off days later, light flooded in, blinding, white, and beautiful. Shapes began to form, faint and blurry. Then she saw them, Zainab and Toby, standing before her, smiling through tears. Aisha gasped, covering her mouth. My babies. Zainab ran into her arms. Mommy, can you see us now? She nodded slowly, tears streaming down her cheeks. I can, my love. I can. A new beginning. Months passed. Life found rhythm again. Aisha opened a small NGO called Light Within, dedicated to supporting women living with disabilities and survivors of domestic betrayal in Nigeria. Her story inspired thousands. Radio shows, podcasts, and even local news outlets told of the blind woman who found her own light. One evening, she stood by the beach in Lekki, the breeze playing gently with her hair. She smiled as her children played in the waves. Behind her, Busy joined her with 2 cups of zobo. You've come a long way, Busy said softly. Aisha nodded. Pain made me blind twice, once in my eyes, and once in my heart. But forgiveness helped me see again. Busy chuckled. That's deep. Aisha smiled faintly. So is healing. They both laughed, the sound carried away by the wind. The redemption. That night, as she tucked her children into bed, Zainab looked up and asked, Mommy, do you still love Daddy? Aisha paused. I love the part of him that once made me happy. But I've learned that love doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes, love means letting go, so peace can grow. She kissed her daughter's forehead. Go to sleep, my sunshine. As she turned off the light, the city outside pulsed with life. Lagos, chaotic, beautiful, unforgiving, had seen her broken, and watched her rise again. And for the first time in years, Aisha whispered a prayer not of pain, but of peace. Thank you, God, for letting me see, even in the dark. The camera of life panned slowly away, from her glowing face to the skyline of Lagos at night, where love, betrayal, and redemption lived side by side. What lesson did Aisha's story teach you about love, betrayal, and forgiveness? Hit like if you believe in second chances, and share this story with someone who needs hope today. Don't forget to subscribe to Kaysmart Mythic Tales for more emotional African stories about strength, redemption, and the power of truth.